So I'm studying David, the phrase a man after God's own heart. And I think it makes me think of Saul, King Saul, and Absalom, David's son. And in the beginning of, well, not the beginning, but the earlier part of David's journey, he had to deal with Saul and run around and hide from Saul. And he had opportunities to kill Saul, but he didn't. He still loved Saul. He still honored Saul in his position. And then years later, he, after he do his dirt, David was a mess, but we love him. His son, Absalom, I think that's how you pronounce it, rises up and wants to take him out. And, he's winning the war or whatnot, but he's like, don't kill my son, bring my son to me. But his son was evil. His son did everything possible for David to hate him. It seemed like he did everything he could for David to hate him, and then he was planning on killing David. And there's reasons for that, and there's a lot of levels to both of those stories. But the thing that's consistent with me is he still loved them. And when it comes in line with a man after God's own heart, I feel like that's the key point. Like, God still loves us, even though we disown him, even though we turn him away, even though we do everything we can out of hate sometimes to make him not like us, to try to strike him or strike his people or all these things. Like, God still loves us, and he took it so much further that he sent his son to die for us, so that he can be with us, so that he can get close to us. David, when him and his son was fighting, he's like, don't hurt him, don't hurt him, bring him back to me. He just wanted to see his son again. He just wanted to give his son a chance to be redeemed and to be restored. He just wanted more for his son, even though that it didn't turn out that way. And I feel like the core of what God saw in David was that David loved the unlovable. David loved when it seemed like David loved when he honored people when he had every right not to. David had every right not to, in people's eyes, even though he did his own stuff, and people can argue that like Absalom ended up that way because of David. But David still, at the end of the day, David still had every right in other people's eyes to not love Absalom, to not love Saul, to kill both of them. There's times where his team is telling him to kill both of them, and neither time did he want to do that, neither time. And that's what I feel like God's trying to tell you. He doesn't want you to die without him. He doesn't want you to be without him. He wants to be with you. Just receive Christ, receive the sacrifice that he gave for us, because that's how much he loves us.